Hello, everyone. It's going to take me a minute because I have to see if I'm live everywhere. It finally looks like I am live, so that's good. I did it. I figured it all out. This is so cool. I'm super excited to talk all about vacations tonight and how vacations can help you, how vacations can, any kind of questions that you have on vacations. I do have a list that a bunch of people submitted to me. So I am very excited to talk about some of those things. And it's just kind of exciting to know that people want to go on vacation. How exciting, right? Um, so I'm just checking on all the places to make sure that this is up first before I begin. I know I got it on Instagram, and so that's good. And now I'm just okay. I got it on the Facebooks for all you Facebookers. And now I'm just checking my YouTube one. That's the last one I have to check. And then we can start. I have these fun questions that are kind of fun because a lot of people have questions about vacations and how they're going to do them and what's going to happen. And, a lot of the questions are not always, things that you can find on the internet, or if you can, you will find them in 5,000 different places, and every answer that it possibly could be, you have that. So my goal tonight is to answer some of those questions that either I get a lot or that you have submitted in the past week for me. And some of these questions are just questions I can't get to everyone in the comments, or I can't get it to everyone who sends me a DM or things like that. This is just an easier way for me to talk to you all and talk about vacations and how fun they are, and some things to kind of ease your mind. So the question I get, a very common question I get, that's often said in many different ways, is when is the best time to go to Disney World? There are crowd calendars, there are special events throughout the year. There are so many things happening. And this is what I'm going to tell you. There are so many times where vacations work out, and there are so many times when it doesn't work out. But going to Disney World, there is no special time where there are going to be no people there. So I think that that's sort of an important aspect to kind of understand, is that Disney World is always busy. There's always going to be crowds. There might be days or parks or times, like chunks of time when you're in Disney World, and that might be a better time for you to go. The best time for you to go is when your family can go. Now, in the summer, that is my only caveat. If you're going in the summer months, it is hotter. So you want to think about that when you're going. It does not mean you can't go. You just have to think about what it is that you are there to do and how you're going to do it. There's a better way to do it when it's really, really hot out. So those are things that you can things that you might consider. I'm sure I have a YouTube video about, like, when it's cold or when it's hot, when it's cold, when it's warm out. Um, what should you do at Disney World? I did that a while back when I was doing my live July event. I went live every single day in July, and some of you were actually there to help me also. Some of my fellow agents, they came on also to help me with that. So I know that I have a question about, do travel advisors get special deals and packages that the public can't get? So I do have exclusive places that I do sell that are not open to the general public. These are elite types of places, and they offer special options. Places like Disney World, They're the only ones that offer the discounts. You can still get them through a travel advisor. Oftentimes, we continue to check, like I continue to check for my clients all the way up until final payment and their travel date. Now, cruises, a lot of times I have different options for cruises. It kind of depends on what you're looking for, but I do have access to special cruises that are only available to book through travel advisors. And some of these include, if you're a foodie, there are special food ones that highlight foods. There's special food activities when you're on board. There are also special destinations with special excursions. I'm actually working with a extremely exclusive company right now doing private excursions for cruises. So if you're going on a cruise ship and you're going maybe with a family or an extended family, I am currently working with a group that will do extremely private and unique excursion options for you and your families or family if it's just one of you. So that's another option for you also. Um, we don't talk about deals as much. My goal is to get you what you're looking for in your vacation more than anything else. A lot of times people don't realize like the hours of research it would take for you to find these special offerings when for me it's just something that I know and I can do and I can offer to my clients. So that's another option. I recently have been helping a family and we're working on 3 different vacations all at the same time, and, I was able to get them something that they really, really wanted, and it's a private tour that they were looking for, and they really she kept telling me, "I'm not a cruise person, I'm not a cruise person, I'm not a cruise person," but she really wanted to see Alaska in a very specific way, which was pretty much on a cruise ship. And she didn't wanna go on a smaller cruise ship, she thought that would freak her out, and a regular, like, mass market cruise, like Princess and Holland America, she wanted to try, but she didn't wanna do any excursions through them, so we did all private excursions for her, and, it's very first class, they're doing things that I have not had any other clients do before. These are very special, all unique tours specific to them. So I think that that's a really unique experience that not everyone has access to. There are companies that only work with travel advisors because they don't want to, it's easier for the company that way to get that access. Um, all right, another thing people ask me is I am going with a family and we want to go on a cruise and we want to have 2 staterooms, but we have obviously younger kids. How would that work? And pretty much what people are asking is they're going with younger kids, but they don't want to be in the same stateroom as the other people in, like, the parents want their time and they wanna be able to put the kids to sleep and still, like, be awake and, like, move about their own room. So there's multiple ways that this can work. So one of the ways that is super helpful for people is you can get those connecting or adjoining staterooms. Sorry, those are 2 different things. But you want that internal door between your 2 staterooms. And typically how it works is one parent would be assigned to one room with one kid, and the other room would be assigned to the other parent and the other kid, or multiple kids. If you have like 5 or 6, you can split it up 3 and 3 or 2 and 4. It kind of depends on what the makeup of your cruise is. So that's super, super helpful because parents can have your own room, you can have the door open, all those things can happen. But the important part with that is that you have to make sure that your reservations are linked and you need to go to guest services to make sure that all of you together, when you get on that cruise ship, have someone to talk. You can each take your kids off. You have access to both rooms, no problem. And you're allowed to choose, the sleeping arrangements. Another thing I would say is a lot of times, instead of having 2 staterooms, especially if they're balcony staterooms, what's a better option for families is typically a suite that will have separate bedrooms for kids than the parents, and then you have access to the suites. And a lot of times it's very similar pricing, and people don't look at that. They choose to not look at that, and then they end up spending more money. So you want to think about those things before you book a cruise. There's so many different options, and lately a lot of my families have been looking more at that suite option because of the benefits they have. And I'm actually doing something with Royal Caribbean because next week, talking about these suites, because the Royal Caribbean is now like redoing, I don't want to say redoing, but they have a new class of ships called the Icon ships, and these ships are made for families. And they have different sections on the ships that are specifically for families. So they have a whole area that's made for people with smaller kids. And so you can get on this cruise ship and it might feel really big when you get on, but then as you're on the ship and you're in your area, you realize, oh, my kids, like we just have to walk down the stairs and we can get to the pool area that's made for smaller kids. So the larger kids and adults aren't as much going to be in this pool area. There is a buffet right outside that area also, so you can check that out. There are so many different there's so many different benefits about the Icon of the Seas that will really help families. There's a new ship coming out, Utopia of the Seas, which is doing shorter sailings. And if you're going to like Disney and Universal, you can add Utopia of the Seas on at the end of that vacation and really get like a major, major vacation out of this. This is made for kids, made for families, made for adult space separate from kids. There's just a lot of different areas that you can be in on the ship, and it's amazing. Two of our agency owner, Cheryl and Sarah, went on the Icon of the Seas. They had all this great information, and we keep sharing it out with you guys so you can see what it's like. So please, if you have questions on that, let me know. All right, another question that I get is a lot on travel insurance. Do I need to get travel insurance? When should I purchase travel insurance? All this other stuff. This is what I'm going to say. I am not an insurance agent, but what I will say is you want to purchase travel insurance. No one is booking a vacation hoping that the worst thing is going to happen, or that they're going to have an issue while they're traveling, or there's going to be an issue during their vacation, or even getting home. If you haven't flown in the past 4 years, guess what? There's a lot of problems with flights, things that you don't anticipate. There are things that are happening with cruises. If you're going on a cruise, you definitely need insurance. Okay. You have no idea what's going to happen. There could be a weather event. There could be currently people are not allowed to go to Haiti because there is unrest there. So there's changes in itineraries. There can be changes in what islands you go to because the islands say, I'm sorry, you can't come to this port anymore, or we're full today because we had to allow this other ship into port. There's a lot of nuances and there's a lot of hierarchy in cruising, especially in different ports around the world. So not all cruise companies are created equal in where they port. So depending on where you're traveling, certain cruises will have better access to the ports and they can bump other ships out if they need to get into a specific port because there's no other place to go or they had to get rerouted. So depending on what cruise ship you are, you might get rerouted or your port might kind of change. You might have to tender, which means you get on like the little boats and then get into the island or wherever you're going because you got bumped. It happens all the time in Alaska. And people don't realize that when they're booking an Alaskan cruise specifically. So it's something that you want to think about. It's you're taking that risk. A lot of times people come back and they're like, "Oh my gosh, something happened and now I can't go on my vacation and I don't have anything. Can you help me?" I can try and advocate for you best we can, but since COVID, a lot of places have very strict policies and they are following them. They are following them to the T. They say this is your cancellation rate, and there's nothing we can help you going forward. A lot of times, what happens is you will get some sort of credit back that you can use at another time, but then you're paying a difference later on. Airfare, you know, you're not getting your money back. So you might as well buy the insurance and just have that safety net so you have it. No one's planning their vacation to have a problem. No one's planning that this is, going to be the end all be all, or that if you buy the insurance, it means that something bad is going to happen. I have so many clients that have had very good luck with insurance when they've needed it. So I just highly, highly recommend getting an insurance. And my other thing that I will say is make sure that you understand what your insurance covers. Again, not someone who is an insurance agent, but not all insurances will cover all parts of your trip. Make sure that if you're buying insurance that includes everything, not just the cruise or not just your hotel stay or not just a portion of your vacation, but the whole thing. That means the hotels, the food, the excursions, the experiences, the flights. So if you book flights separately, then, buying a cruise, it doesn't always cover your flights with that insurance package. I will also say that if you are unfortunately over the age of 59, insurance, it is what it is. So you have to make that choice of, are you willing to take the loss or do you want to pay for that insurance? It is your choice, but it is often a hefty choice no matter which one you choose. And it's just the way insurance goes now. I had 2 clients that came to me about insurance, trying to see if I could beat what they got through their credit card and beat what they got through AARP. I beat every single one. Our rates are very competitive. We have very good plans through our agency. They are very helpful for a lot of people. I have had people use our insurance plans multiple times. I have had to call into our insurance companies multiple times. They are there to help you, and that is their job. Okay, that's enough about insurance. Who wanted to talk about insurance for that long? What's really weird about this too is that in order for this to all work, so I have this live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. I have to have it going on another screen for one of the things. So I am just looking at myself in delay mode on one of my screens all the time. And like things keep popping up over there because I have other things going on that screen also. It's really freaking me out sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, so let's move on to another thing before I keep looking at myself on the other screen. So another thing that people ask me is, how far in advance should I book my vacation? This is probably the number one question that I get. Like, how early should I book? So when I started as strictly a Disney World travel advisor. That's all I sold. That's all I did. I learned that really well. Went to Disney World so many times in a row, have been to a lot of events there, seen a lot of things, trained on a lot of things, done training for other agents there before, did a lot. Then from there, I started branching out. Disney World people like to book early. Like the day it's available, they want to book. And one of the advantages of booking early, or the earliest you can book, is typically you will get the best pricing. That is definitely true for Disney Cruise Line. Disney Cruise Line is 100%, you are getting the best price for when you book. Now, outside of that, if you are booking, let's say, a cruise, like a princess cruise, I do a lot of princess cruises for Alaska. In princess cruises, they actually came out with something last year in 2023 saying that they are no longer doing deals like later on. That the best pricing you will physically get for cruises now is when they release the openings for cruises. And this is starting to become an industry standard across the board that when dates are released now, that's the best pricing. After like the first week of those release dates, that's when the prices start to go up. It's also based on like demand, right? If they've sold a bunch of things, then the price is going to go up. You know, if you're 10% full, the price goes up. If you're when you're 20%, it goes up again. When it's 30%, it goes up again. There's a whole algorithm and a whole thing that we are not privy to in the industry, but each company does that. So each cruise company does that, Disney World does that, Disneyland does that, every hotel you stay at does that. All of them do that. It has now become a thing that booking it as soon as possible has become the best pricing. So if you're looking for best pricing, that's when it is. If you're doing it on your own, that's totally fine. You want to make sure that you are keeping up with the news so that you can continue to check things. So sometimes I will get a better deal for a family on Royal Caribbean after they've booked if there is a kids sale free. So kids sale free is a big promotion that Royal Caribbean often gives, and they really push. I've had a family of I have a family of 7 that cruises often, and guess what? When kids sail free, I don't know how Royal Caribbean's doing it because most of their kids are all under 12. So we're talking about 5 kids sailing free and 2 adults. Now, the adult price sometimes increases when you change to that booking, but most of the time for them, of a party of 7 with 5 kids under the age of 12, they have been able to get a better deal, and it was after they booked with me, and I've been able to change their booking and update their booking. Same with Disney World. Disney World comes out with promotions all the times, and when they do, I always check my current clients and apply those discounts so that they can get those savings. And there's nothing anyone has to do. It's something that, as our whole agency, we just do that for all our agents. It's very common actually in the industry. Most travel agents, I would hope, would do that. So, you know, you have those options also. But best time is definitely as early as possible. So, another common one that I have recently done is beaches. So, beaches, Sandals and Beaches are 2 companies. Sandals is the adults only all inclusives. So you can be a couple and go to a Sandals resort. Beaches is the family resort, or anyone can go to a beaches resort. It's an all inclusive. And these are places that book up extremely fast, especially Beaches, Turks and Caicos. That resort, I swear, I think you can book right now up until 2026 right now. And there are many, many bookings at Beaches, Turks and Caicos already for 2026. So once you know your kid's school schedule, that would be the best time. And it depends on where you live in the country and all those things, but there's definitely options out there for you where you can book something and then adjust the date. But if you can really find that date of what you want to do, if you can book it a year in advance, that is the best option. I have clients who want to go to Alaska, and most of them are looking at obviously now 2025 and 2026. 2026 isn't available yet, but a lot of people are already booking for 2025. 2025 is actually selling quite quickly for Alaska. It's quite an there's some really good options right now. And as soon as the end of April hits, those prices will go up because now it's considered that 2024 season is, open for Alaska. They've moved on to 2025 and they know more people are going to want to go to Alaska because you're all going to see the pictures of your friends and your family who did go to Alaska for 2024, and it's going to push you to want to go even more. Um, so that's typically how it works for pricing. So pricing is always going to be dynamic no matter where you book, where you look, where you're going. And booking as early as possible is very common. I will also say that currently in Royal Caribbean, I, I'm seeing people book as far in advance as they physically can, especially if you want one of the new ships. If you're looking for the icon of the ship or the Utopia ship, the Star, you can't, I don't think you can book the Star yet, but it's coming. um, those ships are booking up fast. The Icon of the Seas is almost 100% sold out every single sailing in the near future. So, that's the ship everyone wants to go on. The good news is that Royal Caribbean has many ships, so you don't have to go on the newest ship. There's so many great ships. I am an Oasis class ship fan person, so you can definitely, you don't have to go to the newest ships. There are some great ships depending on where you live. I live in the tri-state area, so there's a great option out of New York. It's actually New Jersey. Bayonne. You know how I am, Megan. That's just how I roll. I always think of Bayonne as New York. I had a really good friend, Megan, and she lived in Bayonne, and we used to run in New York City together when we ran for American Cancer Society. And so I remember I would joke with her all the time. I go, "Oh, that's so cool. You live in New York City." And she'd be like, "I do not. I live in New Jersey. We live in Bayonne." So it has a special place in my heart. But I used to take the train from Connecticut to go to New Jersey to meet with her so we could take the train back into the New York City so we could run. Yes, I was clearly single. I had no kids, and I had apparently lots of time on my hands at 3 in the morning to be taking trains all the way to New Jersey and then back into the city to run for 10 miles for fun training runs. My life was so cool. Stop being jealous. It's okay. Um, so I you really want to look at the pricing and where you want to go. Don't always be fooled by the newest and the best. You don't always need the newest ship, the newest things. There are so many great options. I think at this point, Royal Caribbean has 28 ships, so you don't need to go on the newest one. You can book it, or maybe what you really should do is you should go on like something like the Allure of the Seas, and then you should book, when you're on board, you should book a next cruise for the Icon of the Seas or the Utopia of the Seas. And then that would make for an amazing option for you. So there you go. I just solved all your problems if you're going on a cruise. That's a really great option for you. If you are looking to go to Alaska, you want to look at 2025. You can try and look into for 2024. I don't know how many balcony staterooms would be left. Suites, I don't know if there's any suites actually left. There must be like a few left here or there. But I would really, if it's what you want to do, you better book that fast because Alaska season's short. It's from the end of April to the end of September. However, it's really from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And there was a huge, huge, huge conversation online today with a bunch of people and a bunch of travel agents. And we were trying to help people because all these people have booked for April and the beginning of May. And they're all upset now because they were told that this is a great time to cruise because it's so cheap. And now they're pissed because there are no excursions. And a trick that travel cruise lines will show you is they'll have excursions that are available to you, like dog sledding or helicopter tours. But guess what? They're not available in April or May because there aren't people there to even take you. You can't be doing dog sledding at that time because the dog sledding people are still working on their actual season. They're not going to be there, or they're not even up there at that time. Helicopter tours, I don't think anything can probably even take place. It's not safe to be doing all the helicopter tours that you're thinking of. And you wouldn't want to do them. It would not be enjoyable at that time. And there aren't the people there to do them. It's still a very seasonable place in Alaska, and the main season is from Memorial Day to Labor Day. If you're going outside that time, things will be closed, shops will be closed, excursions will not be available. Things just are different. It doesn't mean that your cruise is going to be bad, because the physical cruise of the you on a ship and seeing things, you will get to actually see more snow-capped mountains. You might even see it snowing. You will see great glaciers out there. There's a lot of great things that you'll see. So you just want to realize, though, that when you're going to port, you're going to have limited things and you might not have anything that you can do in port. And with that, because there are less excursions offered, they book up really fast. And I have I have friends that, I've tried to give guidance to. I try and give all my clients, as soon as they book with me, especially for Alaska, I say, here are the top things that people book in this area. You need to book them as soon as possible. I will tell you that I have a lot of clients that do not listen to me. And then they get upset when it is around this time of year and they think about booking things and everything's all booked up. And I have given people advice and I have given them outside people. That is how I have learned about this very exclusive place where people can have excursions and things like that. So I'm super excited that I can give clients options, but please know that excursions in Alaska are why people go. So that is something that people book, and people have them booked for 2025 right now. And we're talking about, it's not even opening season for 2024. So make sure, if Alaska is on your list and you're going to book those excursions, you book them as soon as you book your cruise. As soon as you have that cruise booked, you book those excursions. Just get them done. That's it. Very easy. Okay, I'll do one more question for the night. And then I think that'll be it, unless anyone else asks any other questions. But that's like the major thing. I'm just so glad that I was able to get it working everywhere. Sometimes when you're not like a technology person, it's like really awesome to see that, oh, I can do all these things and it does work. All right. So, last question is, do I need to book a pre-night stay when I am going on a cruise? My answer 100% is always yes, you will be booking a pre-night stay. If you book your cruise through with me, you are booking a pre-night stay. It's not an option. It's not a maybe. It's not, oh, we have found this really great flight at 6 a.m. so we can get in by 10 a.m. No problem. Oh, sorry. And then we'll make the cruise just fine. No, you won't. Like maybe, yeah, you might, but it's not really going to happen. Most likely, there's going to be some sort of hiccup along the way. Your best bet, obviously, would be a 6 a.m. flight if that's an option, and it would have to be. You wouldn't be able to have any layover. But the biggest thing that you need to understand is the reason you do that pre-night stay is because you want to make sure that you are making it onto the cruise ship, especially if you're going to Europe, especially if you're going to Alaska. Those are places that it's harder to get to if you miss if you don't get on at the port. Some cruise lines will not let you go to the next station or the next stop and get on there. In Alaska, the first day is you get on the cruise, you're at sea. The following day, you are at sea. Every cruise, doesn't matter what you're doing, which cruise line you're doing. If you're doing a mass market cruise, if you're doing you're not doing one of those luxury small cruises, your first day is going to be at sea. So you are missing the first 2 nights of your cruise if you don't do that pre-night stay and your flight didn't get you there on time. You're going to go the day before. It's totally fine if you're going to show up at 10 p.m. at night the night before. That doesn't matter. That's fine. Your goal is just to stay in a hotel the night before, and then the next day wake up and get on the cruise ship. It's not to be frantic and freak out and yell at everyone because they're making you late. Because if you don't get to the cruise ship on time, that means that you don't get to go on it. And a lot of times, what people don't realize is they say, oh, the cruise is leaving at 5 o'clock. Well, that doesn't mean you can get on the cruise at 5 o'clock. There's a cutoff time where they don't let anyone else on. They close the physical port where you walk up and drop your luggage. There's a place where they will no longer take your check in. There is a time where they take away the gangway for you to actually get onto the cruise ship. So, all those things don't just happen immediately at 5 o'clock. People will be done at 2 o'clock. That's probably when most cruises say, okay, we're done. We're not taking any more people on the cruise ship now. If you didn't get here, well, too bad. They probably take the plank away probably around 2:30, 3 o'clock at the latest. So you're just out of luck at that point. Like, you miss the cruise, even though you can see it right there, even though you can see that they're still loading things on in other parts of the ship, even though you think that you can jump and make it on, you can't. So it's really, really important that you're not going to waste your whole cruise on that. Now, a different thing is when you're leaving the cruise, that's different. When you're leaving the cruise, you can take some more freedoms with getting on a plane that day. I've always flown home the day that we get off the cruise. The only reason I would stay is if you don't want to be rushed. You want to check out that city wherever you're ending up in. Or like you're adding on to your vacation by going to Disney World or something like that. Or like if you're in Europe, maybe you want to stay in Rome an extra day. Maybe you want to stay in Norway another day. Maybe you're going to stay in London for a few days after you get off the cruise ship. So all those things are great options for you. And it doesn't mean that you have to leave right away, but you don't have to stay either. Typically, your cruise will get to port by 10 a.m. and you can get off by 10 a.m. also. Very rarely will you get off after 10 a.m. because guess what? The next group of people want to get on the cruise ship. So they're going to kick you out of your rooms, first of all, at a certain time. And they're going to watch you off the ship. Now, sometimes cruise ships have delays and you'll get that back later. So making a flight before 12 o'clock or 1 p.m. is risky, no matter where you are, getting off a cruise ship. If it's an international cruise, like if you're in Europe and you're getting off in Europe, please don't think that you can get always a 1 o'clock flight. The cruise ports are often nowhere near an airport. They're normally like an hour or 2 hours away. And then you still have to clear customs and all those things. So you typically will need a later night flight if you are leaving out of like the European area, depending on which cruise you're on. I'm thinking of Italy because so many people do like Italian cruises. So just think about that. If you're doing something like in Alaska, we were limited on our flights. So we could only do a nighttime flight. We ended up doing a day pass at one of the hotels at the airport, and then we had the day pass at the hotel, so we had a place to be and with our stuff, and then we got on the flight later that evening. So those are options too. But I would say pre-nights are an absolute, and post-nights are up to you. Okay, that will do it for today. Please let me know on any of the places where this is streaming. If you have questions, I will try and do this again in April. This was a lot of fun. I like having just a question and answer show. So I will collect questions that you guys send me over the next couple weeks. But if you have some more, you can send them to me or bring them to the next live. So I will see you next time. Bye.